You're listening to Polymatic.media, episode 84 for October 2021. Welcome to the Polymaticast. Hey, John, how's it going? Wait, I know.
Yeah, you're going to say that again?
This is it.
I think you've done that in like the last two episodes.
This will be the third time, fourth time? Oh.
Yeah, let's not.
All right, John, how are things?
Things are good. How about you?
They're all right. Life happens, I exist. So that was the month of September. And it went by really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, really fast. So, but also I have a feeling like August felt the same way, and same thing with July. Like, you know, last year was slow down, switch jobs. My work life is, things are just, there's a lot of stuff all day. So to look at the meetings and go, oh, I'll have a light meeting, you know, today.
Busy.
It's only 4 hours worth of scheduled meetings. And then by the end of the day, that is not true. And then there's lots of things to address all throughout the day. And then I get to near 4 o'clock and I'm like, oh, the day is basically over for me. So yeah. So anyhow, life is going fast for me.
You bought any cool new stuff?
I did. It was, so I had my eye on a DJI Osmo Pocket 2 for the longest time, or Pocket in general, like whatever the latest version was coming out. It's like, I want that camera. Do I need that camera? And I always had sort of an answer in my head is, no, not right now. And so I was like, okay, so I won't ever buy it. I won't buy it. I don't need it. It just becomes a thing that will sit here and collect dust. And then I had something where I was like, this would be perfect. And it is. It's like 99% perfect. And that last 1% is the killer. But, you know, I bought the camera, so I will put it to use. But it was all related to a car club, car stuff, right? Well, we wanted to do some filming in the vehicle, and we wanted to make sure I had a shot of the screen, and in the Tesla. So that it sort of becomes an important factor the way we were doing this filming effort. And so I bought it with the idea to hang the Osmo Pocket straight in front, and the gimbal is perfect in case there's any, the road is not smooth or something, right? There's any rumbling or whatever it is. And the only problem is the Osmo Pocket does have a lock mode, where you can lock it, sort of access and focus on something, but it's temporary. You can't just like flip a switch and say, okay, be in a locked mode. So that's kind of stupid. And I hope there's a revision to that. But because I did all this mounts and stuff to the glass roof and all the polling, and I did all that other stuff to be able to like photographically thread my Osmo Pocket in front so I could lock that position, I realized, I can get some phone clamps, or I already had some for my smartphone, and just, record with my cell phone. And works out too really good as well. So I bought a bunch of photographic clamps, and there's some nicer smartphone clamps that are out there now. Not those sort of cheap plastic things that people have been making forever, who have like, tight springs on them or whatever. So I found a bunch of that stuff. So that was sort of the new stuff. But the Osmo Pocket is real. It's pretty nice. Interfacing with it through its like 2-button click is very confusing. They want you to attach your smartphone to it to be able to sort of control it. I don't know. I haven't done that part of it yet to see if I can control the lock mode. But at that point, I might as well just put my cell phone, as the camera.
The Osmo Pocket has its own camera, right?
Oh, it does. Yeah, it's basically the camera they took out of the DJI. I want to say Phantom 2, maybe. One of the higher up, not the Inspire, right? That's sort of the upper echelon of their brands. I think the Maverick is the most popular one. The Phantom was like the first one they created. But they took that quality camera, or the one that's the nicer one that's in the Maverick, whatever it is, and they basically instead of the gimbal hanging, it's you're holding the whole thing like in your hand and it sticks upright. And
Yeah.
they took that whole gimbal, which is very nice, and that camera, 4K camera, and they put it in a handheld portable. So it could be your walk and talk, your vlogger camera. It's perfect for that. Or it's perfect in situations where you want to, get something smooth where you're hand holding it. The only kind of, like I said, disadvantage is you can't say, okay, I got you locked to where I want you, lock this, right? And just keep it balanced, from XY perspective. And nope, it doesn't do that. It does when you hold the button. But you let go of the button, it doesn't keep that. So when I tried it out the first time, first thing it did, it's like a person who was looking around everywhere. So it was like looking at the screen, and then I was like, oh, this is interesting. You're driving. Let me pan over to watch you turn. Oh wait, something is more interesting outside. Let me refocus over there. And like it's just like a child who's looking at everything around, as you're driving, in that locked position. And I was like, crap. Well, all right. But I had planned to buy this thing for a while, with me and cameras.
Yep. Buying new stuff. I think it's more you and technology.
Well, but I won't buy something unless I have a purpose.
Ooh, let's get the gadgets.
I'm well over that stuff, right? If I have a purpose for it, I will buy it. Otherwise, the nerd in me is like, ooh, gadgets, yes, exactly that. And then I'm like, nah, man, I don't need it. Nope, doesn't serve any purpose. Don't add more piles of junk behind me.
Yep. I have a spare PC that I've been using I've been playing with Linux for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So there's Windows in there too. There's like the ML2 has Windows install on it. But then I have some normal SATA SSDs. I have one with Ubuntu now that I've installed, and I'm trying to do like an experiment, trying to do art through on a Linux machine. So with like open source software and stuff, and try to see how frustrated I get within like the next 10 minutes.
I mean, so if you're using it for like drawing with, how does the tablet handle?
Oh, I don't know yet.
Oh, you haven't really put it together. And it's like, and
It's a little
what is the
experiment I'm running
software
right now?
What's the software you're going to use? Are you going to just draw in GIMP?
No. There's an application called Krita,
Okay.
and yeah, from what I hear, it's pretty good. And like the default drivers for Wacom are installed already, so
Mm-hmm.
by default, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I know there are professional cases, especially in companies that, let's say, like Pixar, for example, where they do animation, large scale. There's definitely going to be cases where they're going to want to use a quality device like that on something homebrew that's internal.
Mm.
That's
I know
not
that
like
there's
a
a
Windows
Wacom
based.
for Linux project, so that's where those drivers
Right.
come from.
And
So.
I'm sure that Wacom has all the right stuff for drivers, but they're probably just not released to the world.
No.
Yeah.
This is all done by people outside of Wacom, I think.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's like because I had an XP Pen tablet that I sent to somebody recently because
You think maybe they would have done that?
I don't know if XP Pen would have worked even. So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to try it out with that, but then I sent it away to somebody. So
Well, like I said, sometimes you get into these very large partnerships, right? The stuff is already handled by one person in that company who took care of it, but it was for said customer or partner, right? So usually these things are sorted out. They're just not public.
well, I don't know. I really don't know. I think most of these like tablets are usually more for painters and artists and stuff. So it's like picture people and
or
stuff
people,
like that.
yeah, right, or people like doing AutoCAD and stuff like that, right?
I don't know if that'll help much.
Well, I don't mean in terms of like people doing schematics, right? But like an
Yeah.
architect or someone who's designing. I go to motorcycles or I go to car designers, like, they do their drawing and their concepts, and then they integrate against the measurements against the CAD, stuff like that. I wasn't thinking
Yeah.
more of people that are traditionally doing, PCB schematics and stuff like that. That's a different story. You just have big displays and a mouse.
Anyway, so the idea is to try out how this works with how just art, if I can do it on Linux, in case Windows 11 turns out to be as bad as I think it's going to be.
Oh, I upgraded my main system with it. I was like, all right, I'll take the risk. But in the back of my head, I was like, oh, what's this going to impact me? There's only really kind of two things. So I'm a bit of a power user, and I've always been this way. And there are a couple things that have been carried over since the XP days. Fact, might actually, no, maybe even as far as the Windows 98 days. So one of the things that you could do in the taskbar is you could turn on some extra little, I don't want to say plugins, but little extra things. One of those was an address bar. So I never used that to open up a web browser with that. But what I would do is it'd give me the IntelliSense to like type C drive, blah, 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 and get quickly to my folder. So I would always, sadly, that thing would only show up on wherever my main screen is. And my main screen right now is not really fundamentally in front of me. It's on my right. And I do most of my work, aside from editing, over on the monitors that are vertical to me on my left. So I can't get that little start address bar floated where it's most convenient to me. It's floated at the farthest corner of, my big monitor. So I used to use this thing a lot, and in Windows 11's gone. You can't. It's been carried over forever, and I'm so conditioned to, like, how do I get, if I just want to get to, like, my particular, projects folder for podcasting. So
Yeah, but I think that's by default is still like I have that search bar on. I just
not
don't
search
have
bar.
I don't have Cortana on.
Nope,
So.
no, not search bar. I turned that shit off. I just turned Cortana off.
I don't have Cortana.
Right.
I said I don't have Cortana.
Yeah. No. It's called address bar. If you just right click and you can go down and you'll see a little.
Yeah, but if I
thing.
type in C in that search, then it opens up my C. So.
Sure, but then it also brings you in the, because it's sort of designed to, let's search with Bing and Microsoft Edge, right?
Oh, you can turn
my
that shit
default
off,
browser is Chrome, and that's my preferred starting point. Not Edge, and certainly not the search engine for Bing. So I don't use that. I just turn that thing off. It's off. It's gone. There's nothing. It doesn't exist. There's no even search icon. It's just, unless I hit the start menu, it just doesn't exist. So I don't start there. So I use this old address bar thing. So gone now. Other little thing was, there was a thing in Windows 10 I used. It's called Ear Trumpet. They've since updated it. It's compatible with Windows 11. But it was a better alternative for the little sound notification icon in the corner. So in Windows 11, they've sort of consolidated some panels, the network panel, all those little things into one little icon, and that's where it is. And the sort of change my sound device is very easy now. So yeah. So anyhow, sorry, I didn't mean to. I just was like, so I did it. And there was one other thing I don't need to mention, but I've been using Power Run, and that's how I got my sort of Windows space, C: blah, 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 projects, OG, blah, 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 like my quick fast to getting things.
Oh, that thing that used to be in Power Toys.
Yeah, that is in Power Toys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Power Run's really nice, and I didn't really use it before, but now I'm making it forefront of my sort of new pattern. The only other thing that a lot of people bitch about is start menu. The tiles are sort of gone. They're gone.
Yeah, well,
and I never really. I guess I used them a little bit, but I didn't. I can be happy with Power Run. So I don't really need it. And the widgets I absolutely hate. I turn stuff off. It's not even slightly configurable. So, I mean, outside of that,
it feels like it's like really, I don't know if I
it's
could.
meant for the default person who is not me. I'm a
Well,
power
it
user.
just doesn't. From what I've seen, it doesn't feel done. Like
Hmm.
there's so many things that I've seen
That's a
people complain about. Like, oh, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. Oh, you need to go into the old settings. What?
right. And so when I saw it, I am on I put myself on the Insiders Edition. I enabled that program. Anybody can do that. Um, and the additional part of it was that I put myself on the slow one because I did it on the one where, um, like on the faster ring, and I had in the past some updates that were just worse. Meaning like it's got screwed up with drivers or something on my laptop, and it was very disruptive for me. So I put myself on the slow ring. So I got it maybe 2 weeks before everybody else. And there is one little bug that annoys me. If I'm running something like a game on a monitor or something, um, it it's like drag goes in slow motion. If I'm dragging a window around or something, not
Mm-hmm.
in the game, just in Windows, and that's a bug I'm hoping will go away.
Mm-hmm.
I did update the latest NVIDIA driver, so I think it's gone away since then. Um,
Are you using is it doing the virtualization based stuff?
what do you mean?
Virtualization based security. I think it's
Oh,
enabled by default on like pre-builds.
okay. I don't know the answer to that. I did have to go out of my way to turn on the BIOS, the TPM, to get that scan, and then I did verify before, obviously, the update months before, that Windows could see it. But in terms of what you're talking about, no, I'm not sure that I know the
Because
answer to
that's
that.
gonna um you have a nice PC and then suddenly 20% of your performance is gone.
No, actually, I have little red ray meter, like little
Mm-hmm.
widgets, and I have a couple of them that I stick in the very corner on the far edge of the big monitor. And I noticed that the CPU percentage is lower, and my RAM usage is also lower.
Mm.
So I've had the complete opposite effect. I have not had any performance or slowness at all.
No, no, but like I meant like in the game.
No, no. I mean, also, I'm not playing anything that's like a AAA title game,
Mm.
right?
How was the upgrade experience?
It's not bad. It's not anything. It's not any more unusual. It's basically through a Windows Update install. I didn't like. I did the upgrade. I didn't like get some ISO or something and reboot it and redo everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I took the risk one night, and I mean, it took a little bit of time, maybe about maybe not even an hour for me, but I remember just sort of, um, using my phone to entertain myself while I was waiting.
Mm.
It takes a while for it to come down, then it to like pre-install, and then when it does its install, it's like a couple reboots, and we're good to go. But
Mm.
I did. I mean, I sent you a thing on on through IM, and I said, yeah, you won't like this at all. You will get so
Mm.
pissed off about. Oh yeah, in the start menu. Yes, you can't move the start menu around. But I was never a person who did that.
Now, but I've got like on my art PC, I have like a tablet, and I don't want the start menu on that. And
Hmm.
then I have
I'm
like
sure
three
that
other monitors.
I'm sure that that ability will come back, but I think they probably haven't figured out how to
Yeah,
float.
but like Windows 10 is gonna be fine for a while. I don't really need to upgrade, and
Hmm.
if I need to upgrade, I might eventually just go to Linux if that works.
Um, the
Just leave whole Windows behind me.
I did not let the start menu icon stay center. I stuck them into the corner on the left. So, yeah. I mean, I did that. I think it's like anything. You install anything new, or you get a new any device, and let's say it comes with Windows on it. There's a whole bunch of stuff you, as a human, should go through and just uninstall. Crap you don't need, right? Crap that's coming from the manufacturer. Crap that's coming from. Yes, there was solitaire something. I don't even know if it was like what they did in Windows 8 and 10, where it's like, oh, we got the solitaire collection pack. Oh, do you want to buy to unlock? No, I just immediately just uninstall. Right, there were a couple little things, but that was it. Nothing
I'm
as
just so
obnoxious as
surprised
Windows 8.
that they put that stuff in there anyway. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I
like
don't
you
really know.
install an OS and you're expecting like bare bones. No, there's this this thing is added, this thing is added. How can I
There's
unfuck
only
the
one thing,
basic OS?
and then that solitaire thing, I didn't even run it because I never run it. Could have been free,
When I
but
open
it
up my
just said I saw
Windows,
something solitaire game just listed there, and I right click and I said uninstall, and then I
when I
did
open up my start
uninstall
menu,
on OneDrive, and that was it.
when I open up my start menu now, I see suggested Windows 11 is here. Learn more. What does that do? It opens up Edge. Of course, it opens up Edge.
Well, it's because that's the start menu. Um, I think if Microsoft didn't make several $billion a year with people doing using Bing search, then obviously we'd have that ability to override it.
Yeah, well, I'm not installing Windows 11.
Yeah,
Go
okay.
away.
Be the holdout. That's fine. You're not alone. There's lots of
No,
people who get pissy about like, why? How dare you make a change?
this is not about daring to make a change. I just recently bought these licenses,
Mm-hmm.
right? I paid full price for these, and the problem is that as soon as like I update to Windows 11, they're gonna start breaking
Mm-hmm.
things that I've used,
So let me ask this:
hardware.
For Mac people, I know there are lots of people who hold out on Mac updates, but going to the latest. Um, I'm sure the same kind of thinking or concern exists. So, like, from your side, what have you
My
witnessed,
side.
or what concerns have you been not to make the latest updates to the OS on that end?
Mostly development stuff for macOS. The latest one, Big Sur. There's a new one coming. I think soon. I don't know if there's a new one coming soon. I don't know. I've been keeping up, but like from like the previous one to Big Sur when they started doing the M1 Mac stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course, there's like software that doesn't work anymore. Virtualization stuff is a little bit
Right.
more broken, and that's
Well,
not great.
it's not maybe broken. Isn't it really? It's like really improved, especially for the M1 stuff, right?
Well, the M1 stuff it is a lot faster,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also like incompatibility with any virtualization.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot do virtualization at the moment. Well, yes, there's going to be nerds saying yes, it is possible. You have to use this and this thing and download all these
Right.
crap
To the
things.
normal
And
person, this is not what they want to have to deal with.
no, even a developer is like, yeah, no, this is just too much.
And
And
I
like
think that is, it used to be like, oh, buy a Mac because it's for the normal person computer. But the reality is not becoming true anymore. It sounds like.
no, this is like for if you're a normie, that's fine. Just you get a Mac and it works.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't bother trying to do anything more than the basic stuff.
Right. I think
Uh,
that's probably still true with like Windows 11 if you aren't, um, using your system for a very specific need. That's probably the only reason that I like didn't dedicate a whole Saturday. Maybe today's the day to like Windows 11 this thing,
mhm.
this particular box we're speaking through. But I think it'll be fine. Everything that I normally do upstairs works perfectly fine. The only kind of small changes are how I was sort of using. I wasn't using Windows 10 the way they wanted me to use Windows 10. I always, as a power user, used it the way I wanted to, and I had a couple things here and there. And so when I
Is
got to Windows 10, I had stuff I had to change, and I just sort of iterated my pattern, and now I've iterated it again. Just a little bit. Not a big deal.
were you does Creative Cloud still work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it works fine.
Yeah.
Photoshop, everything. And again, like I said, just even general idle stuff. The computer's even more sort of chilling out. You know, the general just idling around. Like it's much lower percentages on CPU and RAM. I mean,
Yeah.
not a huge thing. We're not talking like going from like 40% on the RAM down to 2%, right? But it's not high at all actually. So you go from something like maybe an average of maybe 8% or something down to like 3%.
Yeah. So for me, it's probably gonna be like when I build my next computer and I upgrade to Windows 11.
Mm-hmm.
Just
And maybe
stay.
that's for like your normal daily stuff, right?
Well, I don't I only use Windows for my not work stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I have an art PC, I have a game PC,
Mm-hmm.
and they run
So
fine.
that will be the contention point for you because I'm sure there will be a moment where like the hardware you use wants to take advantage of something that's only available Windows 11, and that's probably 3 years out at this point. But there's
No,
going to be a moment.
they're putting stuff like the I think the resizable bar thing is gonna come only in like Windows 11, but
Oh,
then
they're already
they're gonna
starting.
backport it straight to Windows 10 after that. So they're gonna move it into Windows 10 as well. So
Right.
from
All
what
right.
I've read,
So you can wait it out.
yeah, I don't care as long as it works.
Yeah.
I have as long as OBS works, as long as Clip Studio works, I'm fine on
Mm-hmm.
that department. If as long as my games work, it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't need to upgrade this machine. It's a 5800X. It runs great on this OS. It's fine. I don't want to bother with it.
Don't want to screw it up. Yeah, but aside from the most annoying thing, which I did put feedback in for, I submitted as a bug report, was that, like I said, and there have been times where maybe it's just something to do with the way, like I notice it most when, like, if I have a game running and it's running the background or something, and I do these dragging my window, any window, it just it's like my mouse cursor has moved, but the window, you see the slow tail of a second cursor moving around, and the window has not like caught up to the cursor, so it has not adjusted yet. I'm like, what the hell is going on? When I first witnessed this, I also noticed it when something like on the second monitor, like HBO Max or something I had on pause, or Netflix, or something I had on pause was doing it. So there's something wrong with the drawing. So I updated the NVIDIA driver, and it improved a little bit, but it's still, on occasion, it comes up. So it's very frustrating when that happens. Uh, so what I just, I don't move the window too much. And I know this problem will go away. They'll fix it. But in this interim, in this like I know that's the price I paid for doing this early. It's an early adapter tax. So, okay.
Yeah.
I know that I sort of interceded on your Linux
Yeah, it's
experiment.
fine. It's just in the early stages, and I just want to try it out, see if it
Mm-hmm.
works.
Oh, I'm
Because
curious.
I've got all sorts of hardware attached to it that's probably not going to work well with it. I've got a Focusrite, a Scarlett attached to it, and got a Wacom tablet attached to it. I got two
Mm-hmm.
4K screens, then another widescreen, and that's probably gonna mess things up.
There
I
were
know that there's issues with that, so.
there were a couple cases that I just had to uninstall some apps,
Oh no,
reinstall.
I'm not talking about Windows here. I'm talking about
I know,
Linux.
but I was just adding on that last little thing that was like
Oh, okay.
real minor little stuff. Like that was there's just a couple apps, which I don't use that much, but I tried them out and I was like, oh, weird. Uninstalled it, reinstalled it, was fine. So
Hmm.
so
Okay.
it goes to the point, even with Linux stuff, it's different enough that you're gonna have to figure out, you're gonna have to find your way.
Good thing that I have a spare computer because I'm a hoarder.
Yeah, I'm
I
trying
don't.
not to do that.
I just realized somebody told me that like I should probably not use Ubuntu for this to try it out because there's some issues with the UI,
Oh, okay.
slowing things down. And I tried like I already tried to play Satisfactory on it through Steam through the Proton stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's actually it worked, but like there was some mouse slowness going on that was not great. so I'll have to figure out what's going on there.
Hmm.
I probably need to like get a game that I know runs well on my on like the normal Mac on normal PC,
Mm-hmm.
and then just see how it runs on Linux
Yeah,
as
I've
well.
not, I've not opened up Satisfactory in a while, and even prior to Windows. I mean, even before Windows 11. So since Windows 11, my go-to games have been work fine, right? But they're not really, they're not as hardware demanding or graphics demanding as something like maybe Satisfactory is.
Mm.
So I'll have to test it out. I'll let you know if you're curious. Um,
For
yeah.
now, I have another game to finish, which is Subnautica
Hmm.
Below Zero. At some point, I need to go finish it.
Yeah.
Like I've
Did
I've
you
been, I've been gathering too much stuff.
did you get a M1 yet?
I have an M1 for work
Oh, okay, for work. Got it.
because I had to. So I've been prepping a M1 Mac to do the new development setup we have for our developers,
Mm-hmm.
and mostly for me, it's been I bit the bullet and I reformatted my old Mac book for work and passed that one on, and now I'm the one on the bleeding edge, suffering through the problems with the M1 Mac.
Mm-hmm. I
But
thought
like,
they did some updates, and with I think the latest Big Sur, I thought it got really improved.
oh no, it's great. Just it's just the I have to get a specific version of this and a specific version of that, and
Mm-hmm.
there's some issues with compatibility between the two different like versions of that we have. There's packages that don't work on the M1 Mac, so there's stuff like generating PDFs. Like the if you get the version from Brew, so it's WebKit to PDF.
Mm-hmm.
I use that for like generating a, PDF from HTML basically,
Right. Yeah.
and like on the Brew version, Homebrew, which is like the way you install packages besides the Mac store stuff. Um, uh, if you install it there and you run through it, then suddenly everything is aligned to the left and the window is much bigger and PDF doesn't render right, like not as it does on Linux.
Hmm.
So we used to run like in a virtual machine for our development stuff, so it was a Debian virtual machine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can't do virtual machines at the moment because I'm on an M1 Mac.
Oh, because all
Yep.
those VMs are built around basically the x86, you
Yep.
know,
Well,
chipset.
I can get a like an ARM version of Debian and install that,
Sure.
but I can't do that on the M1 because there's no virtual box stuff around. There's
There's.
nothing that works at the moment.
Mm,
Well,
got it.
there probably is, and there's probably some sort of like hacky way to do it. I just want something that's production ready for me,
Right. Yeah. Makes
right?
sense.
And the M1 is like the only one available, and we needed to move some other people over to like a Mac. So I'm just I'm suffering through it, so other people don't have to.
Yeah, but it's also a learning lesson, and you'll know when it improves, and
Oh yeah,
then
yeah. So
it's.
we're moving everything over to a new version of PHP, a new
Mm-hmm.
version of the framework we're using, and like this was a good way to get me to do the stuff. Right, it's a good excuse for me to move things over.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I
it means I'm a bit slower in the next couple of
I
weeks, but
definitely can be a creature of habit, and I don't want to make some kind of changes. But again, even when I went from like one version to Windows 10, it was a little bit of, oh, but I have my routine built. I like my routine. Oh, what am I gonna do? This stuff isn't supported, right? It's this, and I had that same moment when I switched over to Windows 11. But it was less of a grumpy version of that, right? It was like, okay, let's figure this out.
so
And then,
between Windows Vista and Windows, I think I had a laptop with Windows 8. I think I have one with 8.1. I think
mm-hmm,
I had a laptop with that, but like that was only because it was like a laptop that I got for free, basically.
I don't even
Like,
really recall when I did that major switch. Like I don't remember, I guess I was in 8 and then I did the switch and I I don't
no,
know.
I
I don't
basically
really
all the
recall.
machines that I got after that, they were all Windows 10 machines. So I don't think I ever actually used Windows 8 or Windows 7.
Maybe I went from 7 to 10. Maybe that's what it was. Regardless, I just don't recall what that experience was, but I do remember those moments where some things didn't work, and that's why I found like an app called Ear Trumpet, and that was like one of those little gap fillers. And now they made an improvement that is native to sort of the way Windows 11 works. So I was like, okay, no, this is better. Ear Trumpet served its purpose and it's good. But I was like, nope, I can just
It's
use that
it's
control
just
panel. It's just
it's just
different.
stupid that they don't like. It could have made Windows 10 continue on this way, right? They could have made Windows 10 because Windows 11 is just sauce. It's just theming mostly. There isn't
There's
any big.
I think there will be some architectural support from like in the Microsoft world development stack stuff, for .NET Standard and junk like that. And I don't know if under the hood any of that is part of the new architecture. But yes, it's a little more than cosmetic. Um,
Yeah, but they could have done that in Windows 10. It didn't have to be Windows 11.
right? Yeah, I understand.
And
Uh,
the only reason it's Windows 11 is because Apple did. Oh, we're stepping away from X, stepping away from Mac OS X. We're gonna do numbers now, again. Fun times.
well,
It's
I
just
don't,
dumb.
I don't think, I don't know. Windows never did. They never called it Windows X, right? They called it Windows. I know Mac OS. Did they ever? They called it Mac OS X, right? They didn't. They didn't. Did they ever call it?
Yeah,
Okay. I don't know. I don't live in that universe on and off in regular basis, so I don't really care. I don't pay any attention to it. Um.
but it was basically Mac OS 10
Mm-hmm.
or X,
Right.
right? And they recently went on to newer versions with like
Names.
it's called Mac OS now.
Sierra, Big Sur,
Oh no, they've had those for
Snow
years. But like they used to
Lion.
do cats, but now they
Yeah.
they went over to yeah.
Mountains, I guess.
I think parks or something
Oh,
like that.
okay. No, I don't know.
Big Sur is I think
Does
it's a
it
monkey.
matter? Does it really matter? Hey, what's the latest version? It's called Big Sur. Okay. Right. I mean, that's what most people do. They don't really care about
Yeah,
the
I
iterations.
wish people would use version numbers. That would be more indicative
Are
of
they all
which
trying to
version you have.
avoid 13?
But like it's the same thing with Ubuntu. Like you have some sort of screaming pangolin or whatever the crap it's called. I don't really care. It's like they have names for the versions. Just give me the version number. The bigger number is newer. That works. But
Mm-hmm.
no, they have to some sort of funky name for everything.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Windows hasn't done this yet.
Windows is well, there's always a version number. So if you really care about what the actual version number is, you can get the build number.
Every ever had like we had Vista, ME. Are there any ones without a number?
So let me think about that. ME, the Millennial Edition.
I just said that, yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going through my head, right? Then
There's 95, 98, but those are
95,
year
98,
numbers.
7. Vista, right? That was when they were trying to sort of optimize for hardware.
But then
Uh,
it's been 7, 8,
7, 8.
10,
Yeah, I think well, that was the problem is
11.
they went with something other than a number and they got yelled at, right, by their community. So they switched off. Then at the time, like, okay. Oh, XP.
I would be fine if they would call it Mac OS X whatever number, and
XP
then
was the only one people didn't yell
Mac
about.
OS number, and then the title
Yeah.
of the thing, right?
Number 12, Big Sierra. It's probably, what is the Big Sierra is probably
I think
13 now?
Big Sur is the one I
Or
have
Big
right
Sur.
now.
I said Big Sierra. I just
Yeah.
sort of like, melded
No,
the
but
two.
there was Sierra and there was High Sierra at some point. So.
Okay. I know that they have code names for these things, right? They have code names for these things.
Yeah. What was the Longhorn? That was Windows
For
2000?
Vista was Long. Actually, the precursor for that was Longhorn.
Yeah. Oh, the new one is. I think it's called Monterey, isn't it?
Maybe I don't even really get skinny on the.
Oh, for Mac OS, it's called Monterey.
Oh, okay, got it.
It's coming out, released somewhere in 2021. Well, we've got 3 months left, so.
Yeah, I mean that will be. Don't they all sort of do their conferences this month? Right, just before precursor, before Black Friday, and all the large, final push for sales in Q4. They all do it. It's not, it's not one or the other. They all do it. The only thing I can say, which people say, Windows 11 is more mobile-like. That's true, and I think that's why they did those widgets and stuff. And I'm like, just get rid of that crap.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I installed the new version of iOS, the new iPad OS, a new iPhone OS, and new Apple Watch version. So, yeah, I've been working on it. I installed it last night. I was like, I'll just do it. It's getting an update. And I haven't noticed any difference. There's no difference between the two versions. Well, there's widgets now on iPad, but that's about it for me.
Yeah, when I think on Android, whenever they make the announcement, I just go buy the next Pixel. Yeah, I was about to say iPhone. I'll never buy.
I have the OnePlus.
Yeah.
And I have to say that besides the one time that I got into some sort of boot menu that I wasn't supposed to when it updated itself. Besides that, the experience so far has been really good. I really like the hardware switch on the side where I can turn it from silent to ring and vibrate. So it has a hardware switch, which is amazing. It's taking very good pictures. I love the camera on this. And yeah, even though last time I was really negative about it, it's a really good phone so far. So I like it. I just wonder when the new version of Android is going to come out for it. So yeah, we'll see. I'll probably be upset with it then again.
That's a key thing for me, is just exactly that. That I had sort of stock Android, so I'm very unaffected by all the stuff that is very irritating for me as a person that most people have just sort of accepted, which is, I think, a sad part here in the U.S., which is the carrier bloat. I will say, though, because I am using my phone more outside of the house and near Wi-Fi, right? I'm not even tied to Wi-Fi at work. My phone is more actively, I guess I have to go in and kind of tweak all the stuff that I used to just say, no, just always get whatever I want because I'm always on Wi-Fi. My sort of usage of data is up a lot more.
Okay, so I have 8.15 megabytes used on my plan. Because I'm walking around in the house and walking around at the office.
Yeah.
There's I don't use much data, and I have I think I'll have a 10 gig plan on a 5G.
Yeah, mine
so I could really do lots of data.
It caps at 16, or it doesn't even cap at 16. What Google Fi does is basically when you get over 6, they give you a warning, and then when you get over 16, they charge you an extra $10 for an extra 10 gigs. That's it. Yeah. So I've noticed that my usage is much higher because I'm out in the world, but also all the apps kind of no, just make your backup, then go ahead, do your thing. And I make the mistake of the habit of I've always been home, or even when I was even a couple of jobs ago, I was on the work Wi-Fi. So I didn't have a problem with let the updates happen, right? I didn't really care. So I noticed that my usage is doubled or tripled or quadrupled being out in the world. and utilizing the 5G.
So
So
mine just keeps waiting for Wi-Fi to update, and I'm on a Wi-Fi connection. But I think it's seeing like because it's on a T-Mobile connection at work,
mm,
um, that it thinks that it's on not on Wi-Fi, but on like a thing. Oh, it's updating the apps right now. Whoopsie! Press the button. I shouldn't have.
yeah, that was the other thing with some of the updates integrate with the car. We were looking for the Android update, and this is as relate to the autonomous, features. And one of the evaluation mechanisms was they added the safety score beta. So just out of curiosity, right? Where am I at with that? And been for like a week waiting for when's the update coming.
Mm.
Right, so I check the updates, but a couple times, just again out of pattern, it's like, just update all of them, get it over with, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can wait, until I get home, right,
Yeah.
where I'm on Wi-Fi and not out in the world. So, but anyhow, we ranted a lot.
Okay. You had an alternative to coffee.
Yeah. So there's this thing called Creo Brew. So CRIO space BRU. It's called Creo Brew, and it's supposed to be like an alternative to coffee. It's meant for, like, I guess, people who are on keto and stuff like that. But what they did is they basically made sort of like the coffee equivalent blends of using cacao beans, right? Basically,
Cocoa beans,
where
yeah.
coffee comes from, right? Not coffee, chocolate comes from. So when people, make chocolate, they take the cacao beans and they get the nibs and they process it a lot. And if it's dark chocolate, it's a little bit more directly to like as it is all natural. And if it's like milk chocolate or sweeter chocolates, because it's been, treated with a lot of sugar. So
Mm-hmm.
and obviously cocoa butter and all that stuff comes out of it. But so I bought it, and boy oh boy, does this stuff smell amazing. And I bought a couple blends, a Nicaraguan one and a Ghanan one. And it's not intended for you to cold brew. It's intended for you to like French press or do a pour
Mm-hmm.
over on. And I just didn't do that at all. I just cold brewed it, and I made two of the different kinds, and they smell wonderful. They smell wonderful as a liquid. They smell wonderful when you open up the bag. My kitchen for the week smelled like chocolate, like sweet chocolate.
But
Even
how's the
though
taste?
so the Ghanan one, when I cold brewed it, was a little bit. Someone described it to me at work as whiny, and it is. It was a little whiny tasting,
Mm.
but not like alcoholic whiny. Just sort of like clearly I concentrated it down to a certain fashion, and so I used it as a complement with coffee. And I obviously don't have the or other cold brews when I was sort of making it, and it's okay. It's not bad. And then the Nicaraguan one is very more like chocolatey, not whiny really at all. I have not drank it just by itself, like the way we make cold brew and treated it that way. I have not done that. I've been sort of mixing it in with other things, and it's not bad, but it's interesting. I can tell you, if you love the smell of coffee, even when just the liquid itself, if you were to sort of open up the mason jar or the jar and just sort of smell, just sort of breathe in a little bit, you can smell how sweet it is. In fact, I bring in the bags for a guy at work who used to in his early history, when he was working, he used to be a barista. And so when I bring the brew in, I put it in the fridge. I give him the bags, and I left it in like a little freezer bag because so that it would retain the essence until he came back in the office. And I opened up the bag, with one of the project managers, and her reaction was like, "Oh my God, what is that?" So it smells. It's really interesting. It's called Creo Brew, as I spelled it earlier. It's interesting. I'm experimenting with it. I bought a little bit more, and we're gonna French press it at the office and see if it chemically, has a chemical reaction that's different or better. It might be that me cold brewing it didn't really change its nature, but it's supposed to be naturally supposed to give you sort of energy, clean energy, or not free energy, but like it's supposed to have the same kind of effects as like coffee does, but there are health benefits and antioxidants and stuff like that in it. So, been experimenting with that. That was the only point of bringing it up.
Yeah. Okay. I think over the last 2 weeks, I'm trying to get. I'll try to get this episode out really quickly, but you know how things go. But like in the last
I know.
couple of weeks, Let's Encrypt kind of broke a
Yeah.
lot of the internet. Oh man, I got a lot of complaints about things not working. Turns out like 99% of the things that were not working were um basically just people's own, you know, software, and people just needed to update their software,
It's
and then
surprisingly
90%
you
of the stuff was
mentioned
done.
this to me, and I looked at it when I was at work, and not a single thing was a problem impacting me at work. When I got home, everything was fine. So some of the things you mentioned was what Slack had broke. What else broke?
I think Slack had a different thing, but like it was, I don't know if it was related or not.
So let's go to the basis of this. What is Let's Encrypt? I know we talked about this in the past. That's how I know about it because you brought it to me. What is
Okay,
Let's Encrypt, and why would companies even bother to use it?
it's kind of funny that like during that day, a lot of things broke, and I know of some things that kind of use this because of that. And that it just was just very obvious that they used Let's Encrypt
Mm-hmm.
because of the way they broke. Um, Let's Encrypt is um, it's a free way to get a free certificate for your website.
Yeah,
A
SSL
lot
cert.
of a
Yeah.
lot of like hosting tools like Plesk or Direct Admin or cPanel and other stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
they can allow people to use Let's Encrypt to put a certificate on your website. So
Yeah. So
basically,
it's
you can
what's
go make your website air quotes secure
right. It's what's
by going
behind
over
the S
HTTPS.
in HTTPS that you kind of don't see anymore in your browser as sort of first resident in that address. But
I'm
that's
still
kind of
angry at Google for doing that. So
yeah. So
it's so dumb.
the larger point of that is that's sort of when you go and get an SSL cert because it's not just security, it's a business.
Oh
Um,
yeah, it is a business, but I
yeah,
cannot really talk about that.
right. You can't, but I can for a moment. So because of that, they have created this unnecessarily convoluted thing when it's just like a couple software switches. It fundamentally is not. They made a whole sort of circus act out of this and
Yep.
profit from it. So when you get an SSL cert, you can really kind of do it in three ways. You can do it for a specific address, like um, www.google.com. Okay, and you can spend $300 for that. You can get it for generically for a set of zoned kind of servers, and then you can do this sort of the wild card where you can just sort
Mm.
of pay for it unrestricted at the highest level, and then you have all these sort of like paper documentation and offices you can call a phone number and verify their validity of their security cert, that kind of stuff. And there's enterprise stuff, and that's sort of the most highest tier we spend a lot of money on. So wildcards, while you can buy them, they're very expensive. And that is the kind of thing where, yeah, okay, so Google has control over their stuff. So this is sort of like a same thing with Apple. Like it just costs them nothing. But if you are maybe Squarespace or I'm trying to think of some other, I mean, again, Facebook is probably, like I know in the very early days, Apple was one of when it cost the company nothing, they owned several Class A IP addresses, right? So they've been very on top of this from the very early days. So to them, cost them nothing. Everybody else, if I want to, whatever, Ataka Generation or OG Networks, whatever it is, and cost me a lot of money. It costs me something for me to do one. And I have a lot of domains, and I'm not going to spend $300 on average for every single one of those. No, forget that, right? But the value add of me at least having a wildcard is I can go ognetworks.tv and API. Right? So it's expensive and it's problematic.
Well, it
And
depends.
if
It
you're
depends.
just looking for
it doesn't
good,
have to be that expensive. Like if you get a wildcard certificate for I think Komodo or a Sectigo, it's called now. I think you can get it for like $80 for a wildcard certificate.
It also comes
I had to
down
do
to
one last week.
those who issue the certificates. And so there's also, again, because it's a business, there are a couple that are just sort of the go-to spots because they were there when it all started. So they charge the most premium pricing. And a lot of other the companies have come around, and it's a matter of building trust and reputation, right? Do you really trust them? So that's what it comes down to. And yes, there are other places who can sell it for less because it doesn't really. It's like Bitcoin. It's a matter of understanding and expectation on value. It legitimately has no like real physical, tangible value. Right, it's only valuable because that's the system in place.
Oh, it used to have value. There used to be an EV certificate, and there was a OV certificate, extended validation, by the way. And I think OV is organization validation, but I think they dropped that. Like, it doesn't exist anymore. But there's like the extended validation used to give you a green check mark, a green lock, or something like that, and they took that out of Chrome. Like last year, I think, maybe the year before.
Yeah, something like that. I know they made some changes.
That used to be like the way to get a certificate where your name, EV used to get your name in there. So if you go to the website, then besides the actual domain name, it would say Alan Works Incorporated or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what the difference between the two.
So Let's Encrypt
upsell
comes in here, and they're providing the same kind of level of quality, but you can kind of, I guess, would you say self-sign it?
No.
Okay. So
basically how Let's Encrypt works is you have a thing that runs on the server you have your website on. And it will automatically, every 90 days, get a new certificate for that domain by checking if the website is reachable and put a file on that in the root in the web directory for that domain. So if you can also validate it through DNS. But like, I don't know, for like Let's Encrypt for Plesk and for Direct Admin, they do it through file in the directory of the website.
So Let's Encrypt is basically creating ways where you can create a level of authority and revocation on it to verify it's accurate. It's not like a self-signed where some hacker did something and it looks like it's Google.com, but there's an extra O in there, and you're just not looking.
You can do that. You can still do that.
True, but so this means that people don't have to spend $1,000 for a thing or $10,000 for a single thing, especially a company like Plex. I think maybe this is not true anymore, but their origins was to do a thing, build a thing and just have some software that's available to everybody that they can use instead of it being a profit center. That might not be true anymore. They might have some a la carte stuff on top of it, but almost anybody can install Plus and use that in your house, for example. So up and beyond, besides that, clearly a lot of startups and professional companies were using it because it cost them nothing to do it.
but also everybody who's like having their own website, like on some web host somewhere, all the web hosts use it to do a certificate, because buying a certificate from one of those certificate companies, let's call them that, um,
Air quotes.
those security people,
Mm-hmm.
um, they're very expensive, and um, there's a lot of theater involved,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
that
if they partner with some of the big origin companies with security, they have to pay a price, right? It costs them something to do it. So if they can kind of roll their own solution and it qualifies
mm.
and all browsers are happy, right? Let's Encrypt was kind of that way in for everybody.
So what happened was, Let's Encrypt had a root certificate, which is basically if you have a certificate, it's built up out of there's a couple of layers of people signing things
Mm-hmm.
along the way, so they know that certificate that you're telling the people that are visiting your website is actually valid, and that it is going um, over a secure connection between you and the web server.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of steps in that, and then one of the steps was their root certificate, and that expired on the 29th or the 30th of September. I think the 29th.
Yeah, and it screwed
Um,
everybody up.
and that basically uh, broke uh, all the people that had
Mm-hmm.
older versions of the certificate um, list. And yeah,
Yes. So if you hear your IT is like people are complaining, I'm getting a certificate error. It's because of IT is not supposed to wait to the last second. It's supposed to do this like a month or two before, uh,
well,
because the infrastructure of the internet and the infrastructure and networking. Sometimes there are proxy servers, sometimes there are caching, sometimes there are forwarders, and they don't let go of information or they don't update on the regimented 1 minute frequency that you expect. It's not instant.
have you
Everything
heard
is
have you heard of FortiGate?
no.
They're basically I think they're firewall stuff. They make firewalls
Mm-hmm.
for companies, and they broke because
Of this
they
kind of
they
thing. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so this is one of those things where you're supposed to introduce the new one, make the update, and wait for the world to get their shit together in like 2 months. Or in some cases, if the TTLs have been not altered along the path, which means time to live, which is basically expiration date. So you're only relevant up until this moment. You set it short, and you set that short months in advance so that everyone is revocating and double checking and updating, self updating based on a more avid frequency. It's going to increase your traffic. But then what you do is
Mm-hmm.
then you flip the switch and then you see it populate everywhere, and then you put your TTL back to normal, something
You're talking
slower.
about DNS now. That's not the same
Well,
thing.
DNS plus also with the SSL stuff. So when you,
Well, the SSL certificate has an expiration date.
yeah,
The problem here is that they did have the new certificate in place for months, I think even a year, um, but they kept the old one
present,
alive
yeah,
until it expired, and they could have just taken that out of the list,
out of the
and
poll,
then
yeah, but they
that would
didn't.
have prevented a lot of problems.
So anyhow, that's why I broke. So now we
And then a lot of
now
websites broke
now we know
because of that.
its true popularity of Let's Encrypt.
And also, lots of internal systems for like big companies were using Let's Encrypt.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was the thing.
It's sort of the set it and forget it mentality, and that's a problem, right? And then what
So many
happens
like
is somebody,
monitoring tools stopped working,
right?
and
Yeah. Or what happens is people set it and forget it, and then they leave, and that person knew, but no one else knew. And they're like, oh, Bob took care of it, so I don't care anymore, right? And so,
then Bob no longer works there, or is dead.
right, or something. And the larger point is you got to take responsibility for things. And you should check and be curious. Oh, well, what did Bob do? Well, we know that we'd never had to worry about when he did this stuff. So someone should go out of their way and try to figure some of that out. And I'm hitting some of those pain points with new job. Is well, someone long ago used to handle this, and no one around here really like has 100% read on all its bits and pieces. And they're like, oh, we have some questions. All right, well, let me start digging in and figuring this out. And then at least I become informed. I don't know, say I become the expert, but I become informed so I can better explain in my head why that's a problem, right? So that's the kind of thing like every IT person, yeah, I know we're all lazy, but sometimes it's good for you to check on stuff every once in a while. Oh, you got a free moment? I know you're all laughing hard right now. Okay, your laughing is settled. So the point is, like, every once in a while you should go out of your way to just double check on some configs and stuff like that to get a sense of it. So,
speaking of things breaking, then Facebook died on Monday. Was Monday?
I don't even know.
I think it was Monday.
It so didn't affect me while I was working during the day.
Yeah, it was Monday. It was definitely Monday.
Let's Encrypt was like just around, was more recent than that, right?
That was the week before.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so and I can check.
I thought for
it
some reason
was this
my
week.
brain...
This week has just been so very, very busy for me that I've lost track of when things were.
And I have been doing that as well because my week goes too fast. But I feel like the Let's Encrypt and the Facebook BGP problem, like, all were very in close proximity to each other in terms of days. But that might be on the read when you start looking up the dates. Yeah. Maybe they were a week away from each other, and I just...
No, it was just the weekend before Let's Encrypt died. Before the weekend, Let's Encrypt died, and then on Monday, Facebook...
okay, so they were within a few days of each other, yeah.
Had an oopsie. That was interesting. I noticed it as soon I got home from work, and we were dealing with some other customer that was still having issues with Let's Encrypt because the software they were using was not updated, and we kept telling them, update your software. But like we were dealing with that, and then I had I was having a conversation with somebody on WhatsApp for work, and suddenly no more responses because everything broke.
So that whole theory about like, oh, well, I put all my passwords with this, they'll never go away.
They were offline for a good 6 hours. That was wonderful.
I think the servers and everything were fine. It was just what I heard, it was something, their border gateway protocol. Someone made a routing change and it really screwed everything up.
Yeah, basically their entire internal network was also unreachable.
And it just, no conspiracy. I'm not putting conspiracy out there, but then there was a whistleblower that was
the day before, which was great.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It broke a lot of stuff. I was very unaffected by it because I was at work. And when I got home, basically everything was fine again. But it just makes the point, like, people don't realize how many things Facebook owns. Your Instagram, owned by Facebook. I believe Snapchat, owned by Facebook. Right? So, like, these things...
Snapchat isn't owned by Facebook.
Is it? I thought they were owned by Facebook.
No.
No? Are they still independent?
Yep.
Oh, okay. But the larger point is...
Because Instagram keeps stealing their new innovations.
Their services, yeah. Well, I mean, look, don't get me wrong. TikTok came around and it had a particular short form pattern, right? And prior to that, before even Vine existed, there was something called 12 seconds. It was exactly like this. It was a startup. It did okay. It didn't take off because there was so much competition for like attention, like something like Twitter. People couldn't get off their Twitter addictions. And so 12 seconds and Seismic didn't really take off in a way that, managed to be meaningful. Then dust settles, and then something like TikTok comes around. And then, of course, Google's got to have their own version of it. And Instagram has to have their own version of it. And,
anyway,
it's not
back to the point about Facebook being down.
Yeah. So larger point was that my larger point before that tangent, sorry, was Twitter. People on Twitter and all the marketing communication managers had a really good,
Yeah.
fun time talking to each other, including Instagram,
Yeah.
utilizing Twitter. Uh, so yeah, yeah, I don't
I
know.
was surprised that Facebook didn't put out a tweet because they have a Twitter account.
Well, Instagram was fine, but that can just happen. I mean, all they had to do is from their phone communicate with Twitter directly. So,
I suspect that to get everything they had there were reports of them having to use an angle grinder to get into the data center because the security
oh,
went
each of the
through
locks, yeah,
their own network.
right.
So there wasn't a hardware fallback to that. So that's fun.
Usually, you
So
keep your security on, completely isolated away from the rest of your system.
mm, yeah, well, I suspect Zuck had he had to fly in from Hawaii and suck the blood from
Oh
the engineer
boy.
that messed it up and to fix the problem.
I don't know. I don't know the details of who, what, how. But I think they lost $7 billion that day.
And ad revenue probably, yeah.
$7 billion just for the 6 hours.
Oh, that's because they're in
Market?
valuation.
Oh, their stock market. Maybe that's where they lost their 7 billion. Um. So yeah, big
And then they
problem.
were making then there was a website on Twitter making fun of the whole situation, which then had an oopsie of their own.
Oh really?
Twitch. Twitch was
Oh,
making fun of
Twitch.
Facebook.
Yeah. I didn't know. Well, okay, so maybe they were because on Twitter, McDonald's was there. Twitter said hello internet or hello all or something like that, and that turned into a cascade of everyone having some fun with it. But again, it was individual community or market managers who have access to their company level Twitter, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean even Instagram was sort of involved in that. But then then the Twitch leak. Um,
that was a fun one.
until you said something to me, and then I went into when I got home from work that day into the Discord. One of the Discords that is a local Philly thing is also like a big streaming community. Then I got filled in very rapidly about what was going on.
Yeah. So there was somebody on 4chan basically dropped a leak of the source code for Twitch and a lot of data for
Income
their payouts or
payouts, yeah, not
yeah,
but not
and
yeah.
database stuff and basically a lot of internal tools, everything. And this was like leak one, like
Mm-hmm.
part one of unknown amount of parts, but that would be bad.
I mean the big thing that comes out of it when you get a sense of the favorite streamers that you follow, what the payouts are, that's only some part of the equation. For those who really get it, have made a business out of it, they get other things, right? Sponsors and other
Mm.
integrations.
People
They're
are
outside
getting
of,
paid to play video games?
yeah.
Shocked gopher face.
And so people are like, oh my God, they made that much? Oh my God, they only make that much? Now the reality is when they turn it into a business and if they're smart beyond their sort of personality they put on on cam in their live stream, they can make a pretty good living. That's why they do it. It's usually, but what you find out is those individuals are not just some dumb person who's good at playing video games. Typically, if they didn't do that, they would do fine in the world, right? I think of Iman, Pokemon. Um,
Pokemania.
yeah, she was doing just fine in the world. This was just a side thing she was doing, and then it turned into a full thing. She's like, all right, I'm gonna give this a try. But she would have been fine. She just wouldn't have been a person that you would have seen publicly like you see her today. You wouldn't have been spending so much time with her. She would have she was basically going to be a lab technician, right? There's she has a particular, I don't want to say it was a biology, it was a chemistry. can't remember. I don't really know her origin well enough.
I don't follow that person.
Yeah, I don't really either, but I'm aware of her, right, by example. So, um, it's just interesting, and so that comes out of it, and then that makes everyone hopeful, like, oh, I can sit around and be irresponsible and play video games and talk with my friends and make $1 million. Yes, no, not exactly, right? You need to have some degree of smarts that are above and beyond that, and be able to turn that into a business. So out of all those payouts, the percentage of people that like do this and make this a full-time living and do well after taxes and all that is like a very small percentage. So I know that people might get the wrong message by looking at those numbers and looking at the leaks and thinking they can fill that in and become the next whatever in that list.
Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff
Yeah.
like merch and
Yeah.
and some have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, yeah, a YouTube channel, yeah. And obviously there are a couple people that, you expect clearly they're making money. That's why they do this absurd, stupid thing on Twitch.
I think
But they make
Critical
money.
Role was like the top one.
Which one?
Critical Role, that was
Yeah, I think so. They do D&D. I didn't even know who they were because again, I only follow a couple people on stream, and some of them are my friends, and that's why I follow them. And that's about the extent of it. And that is the only time I go out to Twitch. Outside of that, I'm not there. So I really I don't watch Critical Role. I don't know anything about them. I mean, I do now. And that's good. I'm glad that like D&D is a thing that is doing well and makes money. But also, of all the reports I heard, is they've always been transparent with the revenue that they make from that.
Well, they have an entire studio, I think. So
yeah.
Well, it's not surprising that they make a lot of money on that, but like also.
But 10 years ago, they wouldn't be making that kind of money. That's
it's just that some people they expect people to just suffer through it and provide entertainment for free.
Mm-hmm.
But people are getting donations, they're getting subscriptions, all sorts of stuff. You gotta understand that Twitch takes a lot of that money.
Mm-hmm. And the other larger part of that is that is TV for people, right? And probably you, John, like we're old enough to the point where TV used to be like actually on the television. Now it's shifted. I spend less time, like I'm thinking about if I buy a house, work the finances, I buy a house, and I imagine how would I furnish the house? And I'm like, I'm probably going to keep it minimal, not out of being cheap, but because like I don't exist in certain places. At some point, I'm going to have a desire to have a big old couch again, and maybe. But what do I do with the TV? The TV is going to be like where I play games or where I send stuff from my computer, or like I can't separate myself anymore. I am doing multiple things. I'm playing a game. I'm half watching a Netflix, or I'm watching a Netflix thing. Very rarely am I like just focused on stuff. I know there are people like TV is all that they do, and they don't touch their iPad or their phone or anything, or they do, and they're not really watching the TV. And I'm like, why would I spend a couple $1,000 on a big TV that is basically going to be off?
Yeah, I have a TV, but I moved it to my bedroom to attach to my Switch, so I can play Switch games from bed.
Right, exactly. So the entertainment thing that used to be, oh, I'm watching some TV, I do watch some TV. Well, what we do is we watch our entertainment stream elsewhere, and Twitch and YouTube are very good examples of that, where people are like, oh, I watch YouTube. Oh, I only watch Netflix. Oh, I only watch Twitch, right? Very rarely do you get people who sort of go between swim lanes. So Twitch is now sort of an entertainment,
Yeah. Anyway,
kind
lots
of
of
entertainment.
leaks.
Yeah.
That was not fun for them, I guess.
And not a good month, not a good week for some.
Well, it's been 2 months, so it was the 29th, I think, until the this week. Let's see. Let's hope nothing else breaks in the meantime. I think Instagram broke again last night. So.
Oh, really?
Yep. Where there was another Facebook outage.
You can see how much I noticed.
I don't use Facebook. I have a
Uh,
Facebook account, but that's only because I had to have one for
I
work.
only have it related to the owners club because we do have some stuff there, and I do have a particular page that or group that's set up for the chapter, and so I have to check in on it on for administrative stuff. There's also a
I
place
do have an Instagram.
where a lot of people that's like kind of where they exist. They won't get onto the Slack. They won't get onto this. They won't get onto that. But they're happy to be because it's their daily grind be on Facebook. And oh, you have a owners club group. Oh, let me join that. Like it's just sort of ease of availability where people like to spend their time. I think Facebook by design is completely toxic, and I've always held this opinion, and I have only was there previously because of the podcast pages. I basically you can't really shut them down. I just basically said we're not making any more updates. Done.
Mm.
And
I
so
only thing I actually use is Instagram, but it's only for hamsters.
yeah, it's
Watching
not in
hamsters.
focus, but that's fine. Which checks out with you.
Yep.
It checks out. So anyhow,
I have an Instagram for my hamsters. Too.
Twitch had a problem, and some payout information got revealed. I don't think I fully followed through with the Linus Tech Tip one, but their sort of bait and switch title with something like, our earnings got revealed, but like that's only a small fraction. That's like nothing.
Yeah.
That doesn't make them how their business works.
I don't think they're in the top.
No, of course not. But those super chats, all that stuff that you do on Twitch, right? Like, Twitch takes a cut of that.
I wonder if anybody made a like a searchable thing for that.
Oh, probably.
That'd be interesting to look at.
Yeah.
But then again, like it's anyway. Twitch leak. I think we've talked about it enough.
Yeah. We talked about a lot.
So we got
stuff.
some links.
Yeah, you have a link.
Yeah, texture archaeology. So Polymatic link /10s. So 10s.
I know I looked at all these links, but that one does not come to mind. What is that one?
Like they were trying to find the source of a specific texture in a specific game, and turned out it came from like a specific
right
thing.
The photographing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then that same texture was used in like a bunch of other games and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, very early on when I was getting the 3D stuff, there was definitely kind of like there's a business for font foundries. There were definitely people, sort of graphic houses that were just going out in the world and creating, or I guess photographing textures, designing textures and stuff like that. And you could buy texture packs, and they would make them available in the various different 3D modeling softwares.
Mm.
Yeah. So
these days I use textures.com for background stuff, and for like basically does just concept art bashing stuff. Just grab some textures and slaps them together in like a novel form, and then that's what I use for a background for a picture.
I usually kind of make stuff if I need something. I want to add some artifacts to something. What I'll do is I'll find a pattern where I can take a picture of it, and then I will Photoshop it, manipulate it in such a way, and then we'll then apply it, in a sort of artistic manner through layers and some different kind of modes and stuff like that to bring it in to create that texture. So that's like kind of how I do things. So no one can come along and say, "Hey, you stole my thing somewhere." There's like
well, I pay for the textures, and then you can use within your own artwork. So
usually a lot of that stuff, like I'm looking at the sound blanket. It's got a pattern to it, so like that is perfect. I can take an abstracted version of that, manipulate that digitally, and then I can come up with a pretty good, nice texture on it, using it as a seed. So,
okay, next thing.
Anyhow, next thing. So too late. For life of me, I can't remember what this was about.
This is about calendars.
About calendars. Yes. Oh yeah. Okay, got it. Right. Which led you on a path now. Polymatic.link/10O. So 10 and the letter O. This is I discovered her on TikTok. I'm following enough people on TikTok. I don't get their stuff on a daily basis, but as a couple, the husband who we never see the face of, Trid, the guy's just funny. He's just funny, and then put that in. The reason for the channel was because of the wife, and she was just like trying to prank on him a lot, and she was yanking him into her little world, and so we all just found out he's funny. So the biggest highlights of most of her stuff are his sort of off camera, out of frame interactions with her, and yeah, so he's great. So he's got his own channel as well. But Trid is awesome. Too late. Oh, I guess this is me. Well, yep. All right. 1500 RPM slow motion paint flinger. This was something that slow mo guys, or basically Gavin, created up a video. It was really interesting, I thought, where he was using that sort of counter rotation thing when something is rotating high speed, so that you would see sort of the item that is physically rotating in physical world, where he would sort of counterbalance it, the rotation factor, so it looked like it was basically stable, and so you would see sort of how the paint is flinging off. It's really interesting, and so there's a Polymatic.link/10Q for you. Okay, so I guess me again. This was for you, John. Clearly you have some commentary about it, but this was somebody. I guess there's an app available on your Switch where you can kind of use it like a tablet for drawing. Polymatic.link/10T. And clearly, John, you have opinions.
I'm not buying it ever.
Right, because you heard some stuff that's not good. Look, I mean, your Switch is meant
From what I've seen people use it, like, it doesn't look very good. So
yeah, I mean, it's not your Switch or anything that's touchscreen, unless it's like a Wacom tablet or is meant for that kind of purpose. Its precision is not going to be amazing. So your expectations should be low.
It kind of looks like what they did was use one of those older styluses for the iPad, like before Apple came out with their own pencil thing.
Mm-hmm.
They used to have that same setup with like the moving disc on the screen and stuff, and it just looks really janky.
All right. So. Well, Polymatic.link/10T.
Okay. I got 2 songs from Lemaitre, or whatever, however you pronounce it. Sparrow and OK Computer. So Polymatic.link/10M for Sparrow, and Polymatic.link/10N for OK Computer.
Mm-hmm.
And OK Computer has been in my list for a while, for the last couple of weeks. So yeah, it's kind of gets stuck in your head.
Yeah, in my bubble of artists that I generally listen to, so like Charlie XCX, I like a lot of her music. She nails it for me, and there are new stuff. But then I get her whole album, and then there are just a couple songs that are just so irritating to me, or so obnoxious, and like just kind of, I get it from her perspective, like this is, or it has elements of good moments, but has such obnoxiousness sort of thrusted at you, and like, so I'm like 60% really like Charlie XCX stuff, and then I hear the rest of the album, and sometimes it's just like, I have to skip past these things. They just fundamentally annoy the hell out of me. So, but she does have a video. She does have a new song called Good Ones. It's pretty good. I like it. Charlie XCX. I guess she's the new British pop queen. I don't know. Polymatic.link/10R. Probably not a thing John cares about. But it
was okay. It kind of sounded like back to like it sounded like an older poppy type thing.
Yeah, there was one song. The reason that I even knew who she was is I saw some kind of video. I heard something, And I was like, oh, I really like that song. And I did. I really like that song. Then I got her album, and I was like, oh, I like most of this album. Like, it's high 80%, right, for me. I don't mean like songs like, they don't do anything for me. Like, no, the remaining were like really just super obnoxious and are really not, just irritates the hell out of me. And I'm pretty given on these things, and it was just like, I can't do it. It's the same thing I had with like Florida or David Guetta, same kind of thing. There's just sometimes you get some combination and it just irritates the hell out of me, and I don't get the point of it. And then I got her earlier album. She had like one good song, her first album, and then the rest of it's pretty obnoxious and didn't like any of it. And then I don't know what I bought recently, but I bought like the next one. It was not, I don't know if it was great, if it was a complete hit with me or not. But this is an artist like among 3 or 4 that I need to catch up with. So, but that was it. Those are my links. That was my music for this month.
Alan, what is your freaking Twitter handle?
Can't you guess by now? It's not like we haven't done 83 other Polymatics. You can sound clip any of them. I really, when that whole Twitter thing was going on, I didn't know. Didn't care, because I'm never there.
Twitter thing?
When Facebook was basically broken.
Okay. Okay, I'll just clip it in then.
Okay, sounds good.
What?
That sounds good.
Jeez. It's really annoying, man. It's really annoying. Just say your fucking Twitter handle.
CHA. Yes. I was not going to. I was going to hold out. But apparently it's pissing you off. It's my last name. CHAESS.
You can find me on Twitter at WebDevy, WEBDEVVIE. For feedback, you can reach us at podcast@Polymatic.media. Our music is by Say Uns, which you can find at Polymatic.link/EK. Our Twitter is The Polymatic. Our website is Polymatic.media. I hope you tune in next time.